What's up, guys? It's Alexander, obviously. So, been a while since we've had a Periscope cast, whatever you want to call these things. Subject at hand to discuss, topic. So I saw Well Built Style. How you doing, man? He had a tweet regarding an intelligent training program should cover strength, what I believe was strength, muscle, endurance conditioning, flexibility, and I want to say recovery. And his line of thinking was reasonable, so this isn't a call-out. This is not a, let's start a fight, internet fight. But as someone that does train people, there was a little bit of misguidance to it that I wanted to point out, not for the sake of him, like I said, not for the sake of him being wrong, but there's more to training than just trying to balance everything out. Hair is fuego. Thanks, brother. So anyway, training program. What is an intelligent training program? An intelligent training program serves the goal. What's the goal? That depends. An issue that people run into, a critical thinking trap that people run into when you're looking for a workout or working for a program, is the idea of a perfect program. They are a perfect workout. This idea that you can find something that will somehow balance out strength and size and power and flexibility and endurance and speed, and it's going to do all of these things at once for you. And the pragmatic reality is that there is no training program that can improve every single athletic quality all at the same time. That does not exist. Now, if you're a relative beginner and you're a newbie and you've never worked out before in your life, anything more than 0 is going to have a positive effect. So that can really skew your perception of what a program can do for you. But once you move past that beginner newbie phase and you get into, maybe you've been training a year, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you can't train every athletic quality at the same time. Now, that doesn't mean that a training program is going to make you a worse athlete, but you cannot reasonably expect to adapt all the different physiological qualities of the body in equal measure continuously while following the same kind of program. And again, the pragmatic reality is that a training program is only as good as it is specific. So if you're trying to improve your 1 rep max, if you're trying to take that route of, I'm going to train like a powerlifter for a little while, I want to get my squat, bench, and deadlift up as high as you can, okay, great. So you should follow a program where the emphasis is on absolute maximal strength. But guess what? That kind of program is not going to be very likely to improve your flexibility. It's not going to improve your conditioning. It's not going to improve your, let's say, like your sprint speed. That's probably not going to happen. You may be able to convert those strength gains into those athletic qualities later on, but it can't do everything at the same time. At the same time, if you were wanting to improve your conditioning, let's say you want to have better endurance. Okay, that's a great athletic goal. That's relative to a lot of sports. But guess what? When you're training for improved conditioning and improved endurance, your maximal strength probably isn't going to increase too much. It's not going to happen. Those are two conflicting goals. At the same time, if you're trying to train for hypertrophy, where you just need to get bigger athletically, okay, so you need more muscle mass. Period. You want more muscle mass. Awesome. So you're going to train for that. But guess what? Your endurance is probably going to take a hit in certain aspects. Not meaning it's going to get worse and you're going to, go to hell with your conditioning, but you can't be putting on muscular weight while also simultaneously improving your, let's say, your long distance running. Two conflicting goals. Cardio is very specific. Endurance is very, very specific. Endurance is the most specific of any athletic quality. The most specific. So when guys ask me, okay, I want to get better at running a mile, okay, so you need to train for that. Well, what's the best way to train for cardio? Guys, it's too general. It's the same way, what's the best way to be a good athlete? Be explosive, be strong, move athletically, but relative to what sport? There are certain generalities you can improve, but everything, once you get into the specifics of it, everything requires its own kind of modality, its own kind of methodology. So a training program, on a general level, train for hypertrophy, train for size, sure, that's easy to do. Will getting bigger get you stronger? Sure. Will getting bigger make your bench press go up dramatically? To a degree, but if you want to focus on, like I said, you want to focus on your maximal strength, you need to focus upon that. You want to focus upon muscular size, you need to focus upon that. Training goes in waves. So the overarching philosophy is one of a continuum. I know I use that word a lot and I kill it to death, but training and athletic development is a continuum. You have different athletic qualities that are interconnected, but are also individual, and then you wave your training, so to speak, over the course of a year, over the course of a lifetime, and you improve your let's say anaerobic, alactic endurance. You improve your maximal strength. You add some more muscle tissue. Then as you add more muscle tissue, then you can go into a process of improving, let's say your, anaerobic, aerobic, threshold. You can keep these qualities riding these waves of adaptation, and you keep getting better and better and better. And it takes a while, and it's not linear. Not everything goes up at the same time. But over the course of a lifetime, over the course of a few years, over the course of your athletic career, you can turn into a really, really good athlete relative to your natural genetic limits. So relative to the concept of there being a perfect program or a perfect workout that does everything at once, there is nothing like that. You can obviously add stuff into a program where if you're doing 5-3-1, you could add in some flexibility things into it to make sure that your flexibility stays where it's at, or maybe improves a little bit. If you're following a more of a bodybuilding type program, yes, you could certainly add in some forms of cardio to perhaps improve the effects of that program, or to keep your conditioning at a certain level. But you can only serve so many masters. And if you really want to focus upon something, focus upon that one thing. The more energy you put into a priority, the more progress you make upon that priority. Remember that. So hopefully that gives you guys some sense of how to think about these concepts. Are there any questions at all? Any questions to anything I just talked about, since I just talked like for 5 minutes straight solid? Now I'm going to drink my energy drink while you guys hopefully ask some questions. God, these taste so good. Thanks for the info about sowing bad oils through my veggie oil about peanut. No, you're welcome. Yeah, the stuff about the oils, guys, that's not meant to be alarmist. I know I always try to talk about moderation with food, but there are certain things to avoid. Best for football. Football is actually pretty simple. It does depend upon position. I don't know what position you play in football, so take this with a grain of salt. But generally speaking, the stronger you are as a football player, the better. So, squat, bench, deadlift, or some effective variation of those three lifts. Pretty much every elite level football player, NFL player, they're all strong. So just that of in itself can get you better. From that point on, it depends upon the position. If you're a skill position where you have a lot of lateral movement, then you're going to need to get better at that. So that's going to involve probably some unilateral work and making sure both sides of your body are symmetrically balanced. You don't want to have any strength asymmetries. If you're, like an offensive defensive lineman, then that's just explosive power. That's explosive power and it's power endurance, so that's a little bit different. If you're the quarterback, that's going to be a lot more hand-eye coordination kind of drills. You're obviously not so dependent upon your ability to run really fast. So it depends upon position. But start with strength, and then make your endurance training specific to the position you play. And if you have any, like I said, any asymmetries at all, any imbalances muscularly on any right, left side of your body, and you're a skill player, you have to bring those up. You have to fix them. That's a good question. Thanks, Matt. Oh, you're welcome, dude. Yeah, that was a very good question. Very, very good question. Have you done any blog posts or programs to improve flexibility? I have not, actually. I've had some emails on flexibility if you're not on the email list. But improving flexibility, it's a nuanced subject. The issue with talking about flexibility is you have to explain what flexibility is, since most people just don't know. And at the same time, even though there are general inflexibility problems that everybody kind of shares in modern Western society, trying to fix it is a very case-by-case basis. So I'll probably talk about it at some point, but it's going to end up being sort of one of those sort of like brain drain articles where you write 3,000 words at once, and you're going to have to read the whole thing for it to make sense. Pilates class, good place to start. Yeah, Pilates is a good way to learn muscular control and discover your active range of all your muscles. So yeah, that's a really good place to start. The question, this programs like P90X work? They do if you follow them, but I'll just say programs are not permanent. So, cheers, man. You're welcome. Programs are not permanent, and any kind of infomercial program, P90X definitely works to get you, into shape, but it's not something that you can do for a lifetime. No program is. So, if you want to follow something like that, be my guest. Just don't hurt yourself. The only concern I ever have with those kinds of programs is the chances of injury are pretty high. And if you're not doing movements right and you reinforce bad movement patterns, you can hurt yourself in the long term. But I mean, that's anything. So just be careful doing them. Be cognizant of the injury risk and do them consistently if you're really going to follow that. Any more questions, gents? Start intermittent fasting, chance of losing muscle mass, should take BCAAs. Okay, so intermittent fasting, losing muscle mass. So long as your protein intake is sufficient over your eating time, you should not lose any muscle mass at all. But that said, you really have to plan out your training. So if you are going to train in a fasted state, that is the one time where I would say BCAAs or even essential amino acids. Do you have to take them? No, you don't. They're not an absolute necessity, but I would consider it wise, or at least optimal, let's say, to take them while you're training. So if you are training fasted, yeah, do take supplemental amino acids. Aside from that, like I said, so long as your protein intake is sufficient in your eating window, you really shouldn't be losing muscle mass. The only way you would is if you're doing a lot of endurance training in a fasted state, which is going to be very contradictory to getting better at endurance training. In that case, you could lose muscle mass, but that'd be a specialized case. Do I speak any other languages? No, I do not. English is my one and only. How can a person find out about their genetic limit strengths? Look at your parents, honestly. So there's no test for this, but look at your parents. Do you come from an athletic family? So if your dad was really strong or your mom was a really good athlete, that will tell you a lot about your athletic potential. Other thing being just self-assessment. This is very objective. How strong are you naturally? So, wrist size, knee size, shoulder size. If you're husky, if you're big boned, probably you're going to be more inclined to strength. If you went to the gym for the first time when you're 15 and you bench press your body weight and all you've ever done is, done push-ups and PE, you're probably going to have the potential for strength. If you're not that person, you're not that person. People that are very strong naturally or have the potential for elite, strength levels, they generally already know it. So, I had buddies in high school. They were really fit guys. This by default, their dads were both athletic, their moms were athletic. They went to the gym. It's kind of like the, like the prototypical, kind of like the black athlete example. My buddy Trey that I grew up with. Trey, when he was 15, had a six-pack, was ripped. He went in, could squat, bench, deadlift a lot of weight. He had elite level genetics. That was not me. At the same time, like his genetics were, did he go to the NFL? No, he didn't. He got hurt in college. But his genetics were like a 10. Maybe mine were like a 7 compared to other guys. You just have to really go into the gym and experiment. You'll find out very swiftly if you have genetics for strength or you don't. The guys that do will almost always know it right away because lifting weights will just be easy for them. All right, someone asked a question about beginners and programs. Ask it again because I totally fucking missed it. What's up, Candace? I just saw you hopped on. Yeah, guys, if I miss your questions, unfortunately, there's no way to pull them back up since this thing, there's just not. What are you drinking? A Bang. Any general training lifting tips for an ectomorph? Yes. God damn, that ectomorphic guide. I am still writing. If you're an ectomorph, there's so many things, dude. If you're an ectomorph and you have small joints and you don't put on size easily, you have to maximize everything. You have to maximize nutrition. You have to be really smart about your lifting. You have to train for hypertrophy. You have to take care of your joint health. You have to really train for size. If you're an ectomorph, trying to train for strength and thinking that getting your moderate max up is going to benefit you, it will, but it won't. Ectomorphs do really well with hypertrophy, bodybuilder style training. It's very uncommon that I've ever encountered an ectomorph where they told me that sets of 5 reps put slabs of muscle on. You have to, your continuum for physical development, size first, then strength. So just take that and run with it. Also, get on the email list since I have a fucking massive email about that that's scheduled for next Wednesday. How can a beginner know if they can keep going in a workout or to pause? Energy levels. So this goes for anybody. Once you're really exhausted, you're exhausted. You're tired. Once you're tired, you're tired. So if you're a beginner and you're working out, typically speaking, everybody has, regardless of your athletic abilities, you've got about a 45-minute sweet spot, 45 to 60 minute sweet spot that you can really train and get a lot of work done. Once you get past that 1 hour mark, not to say that you can't keep training longer, but your quality of work will start to go down because you're just fatigued. So for a beginner, like, how do you know if I can keep going? how tired are you? Now, the one thing to keep in mind, if you are a beginner, don't be a little bitch. So, if you're tired after 20 minutes, well, if you're fucking weak and you've never worked out before, no shit, you're tired. So you do need to push yourself. But do keep in mind, you got, like I said, about 16 minutes to get work done. If you are a beginner, once your technique really starts to break down, if you start doing the movements sloppy, and, shit's going sideways, and your form's off, and one shoulder's shooting up more than the left, you're squatting, your knees are buckling, you're finished. So, if you had to grade it that way, I would say once you start having technical breakdown with your movements, where you just can't do stuff right, to oversimplify it, movement's over, or the workout's over. That's the rule I've always followed with my clients, that once they start doing stuff wrong and they can't maintain good form, move on to the next thing. Tips for joint health. Be flexible, be mobile, build a shit ton of muscle mass, eat healthy fats, get a lot of collagen in your diet, don't fuck up your joints, don't do fuckloads of stupid plyometrics, don't hurt yourself doing dumb shit, all of that. Take joint supplements if you need to. What else? I mean, joint health is kind of this, it's a totality. It's your whole life. Does gyno truly hold you back from your full athletic potential? It doesn't hold you back. Gynos, you got bitch tits. And unfortunately for a lot of guys, due to their really fucking shitty diets as kids, and, it's kind of your parents' fault, but, gyno is not genetic. Gyno is a result of just a poor diet and, excess calorie intake, and you end up with, fat deposits around your chest. It's not going to hold you back athletically at all, but obviously, if you're playing shirts versus skins, you're probably going to want to be in the shirts. So, I'd say it holds you back more so from, fulfilling your, masculine potential, since you're going to, every guy that has gyno is always embarrassed about it. Isn't gyno surgery fairly inexpensive? Yeah, gyno surgery is pretty cheap, guys, in regards to being an elective surgery. So I've had that question asked a lot the last few months. Every week someone will ask, what can I do about gyno? Only two things. You can lose a bunch of body fat, and maybe it goes away. Maybe, but if you've had it since you're a teenager and it's, it's preset, surgery is the only way. That's it. So either lose body fat, and if that doesn't work, surgery. But that's all you can do about it. And typically surgery, I'd say probably at least half the time surgery ends up being, your only real option. I've had some guys that have lost, the fat, so to speak, when they lost a lot of body fat, but that's relatively uncommon, actually. It depends on when you got gyno. If you got later in life, or maybe you're in your 20s, 30s, and you just got fat, okay, then, you could drop the weight. But if you got gyno as a teen, that it's kind of hormonal in that sense, where it's now permanent, so surgery is the only option for you. Any other questions, guys? Give it 2 more minutes. Request more podcasts. I will do more podcasts. I've been off my podcast game as of late. You guys got a minute and 30 seconds. Anything else? Yes, no, maybe so, gentlemen. What are your thoughts on Layne Norton's fat program? Metformin, okay, I'll do metformin. Metformin is a wonder drug. I'm not the person to talk about, really. I'm not really the person to talk about it, but the effects of it are, based upon all the evidence, are incredibly powerful for literally every aspect of metabolic health, so I'll defer over to TRT Revolution, my buddy Jay Campbell, for that. In regards to Layne Norton's fat program, a lot of guys seem to get great results on it. I mean, like you said, you got light days, you got medium days, you have heavy days. That's a really good, multi-factor way to build muscle. It's very similar to what I've said, where you got to do all the rep ranges. When you follow the fat program, you do all the rep ranges. So I think it works for that reason. Why would it not? In regards to doing it myself, I've never done it, but I don't see why it wouldn't be effective based upon, the feedback on it. So I think it's worth trying out, definitely. Anything else, guys? Last call. Give it the good stuff. You're welcome, brother. Welcome. All right, guys. Good talk. Shutting down. Train hard, be smart. Don't eat shitty fucking vegetable oil. I'm gonna go train.